Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Penalty Loop Podcast, a podcast about biathlon by Jordan Gottschalk from Penalty Loop and a regular guest, RJ Weiss from Biathlon Analytics.
Hey, RJ. This is a very special episode. It is episode...
and really crazy if you think about it.
It's episode 100. It's pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
And
it is actually...
And it's funny...
I was going to say, funny story, this is actually our 101st episode that we've recorded, because we already recorded episode 101. It doesn't matter. This is 100.
Yeah. No, it's funny because it's 6 a.m. now. So I a little after. And I got up early for recording this, and it really made me think of our episode, our first couple of episodes. Right after the races in where was it? Peking?
Beijing. Yeah.
Beijing. Where we had to get up at like 2 a.m.
Those were
3
early.
a.m.
Yeah.
And then watch the race, and then we would chat about it right after. But that was February 2nd, 2022 was when we started this.
Wow.
And my late mom's birthday, actually. And it's just, I don't know, it's just been so much fun where I actually tried to go back on Twitter and find some of the messaging we had prior. And, but what I remember is, you and I were chatting a lot on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I had like very brief thoughts of a podcast one way or another. And then I think you texted me at some point saying, hey, have you ever thought of doing a podcast?
Yeah.
And I
funny.
don't know, I if I remember correctly, we were both like, okay, let's not take this too serious, and let's just record ourselves chatting with each other. Maybe there's a couple people that will enjoy that. And it's very humbling that we have over 25,000 downloads of podcasts. It's and I won't dwell on it, but meeting some actual listeners when I was in Canmore was that was just so cool to people telling me about how they listen while they're cooking, or when they're waking up in the morning and listening to us. That was really connected with me. So,
I can only imagine. But I will also say that just the people who send just the periodic messages on Twitter or email or whatever, it's like, oh, you listened and you actually had a thought about it. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's I appreciate that. And I'm going to go back to a second to Beijing, and I will never forget. I think it was the women's individual. It was one of those races, and it started at like 3 a.m. my time. So I think this is one of those races where you actually maybe took a brief nap and then got up, and then it went on forever. It had to be one of the individuals, and it was like, oh, good gracious! Like, I was up early, and I was like, I don't know if this is gonna end in time for us to record for me to then go to work. And so it was just, it was pretty. Those were some early mornings. I'm looking forward to doing something like that again in a couple of years when we have our on-site recording in Italy for the Olympics. I'm obviously joking,
on-site.
But I'm sort of wish casting. Yeah.
No kidding.
The Penalty Loop podcast desk, right? And the athletes can come to us afterwards, just like they did.
Those are going to be early.
They are. Yeah, those are going to be oddly timed.
Yeah,
we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, it's just it's been quite a journey. And I think about, you think about the different races that we've talked about, the different seasons. You had the QFM year, and then the Simone and JT Bow year, and then this past season. And it's just been a lot. It's just a lot of biathlon we've talked about, and it's been fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it really, it put watching in a little bit of a different perspective as well.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that we would chat about it after, so
I watched it differently. I can tell you that, because I would sit there and somebody asked this one time, and I don't remember if I even answered it, but like, how many times do you watch a race in a weekend? And it really depends on the race. But like pursuits and mass starts, like I'll definitely watch twice in a weekend because I'll watch it the first time, and then I'll try to go back and watch it and actually like take a few notes of things that I wanted, or I'll look for things because they'll be in my memory. There was this moment, and then I'll actually want to go back and say, did that moment actually happen, or did my brain just make it up to to make it make sense? But so it changed the way I watch it, by doing this.
Well, and it sounded like Ben has been joining you regularly now.
He has, yeah. So, for those Saturday and Sunday races, the ones where, they'd be like, if it was too early, if he was asleep, I'm not going to wake him up for it. But if it was like 8 o'clock and, I'd turn it on and be like, we're watching the race? Yeah, buddy, we're watching the race. He doesn't really know what's happening. He just knows that it's a race going on and it's exciting. But, he would get all excited, and he would climb up in my lap and just want to sit there and watch it. And
That's
it didn't
cool.
really matter who won or what was going on. He was just happy to be there. So it's neat, and think about when we first started doing this in 2022, he was just a year old. So like he obviously had no idea what was happening. And actually what would happen is that I would be trying to watch it, and he would start like trying to crawl away, and I would have to go chase him down because like, hey Ben, I need you to stay in this
Isn't
room.
that when you duct taped him to a chair at some point?
We don't like to talk about that.
Yeah, it's funny because my kids, they were sort of interested, but definitely not enough to get up early and watch it. But we got a new TV, like one of those smart TVs, I guess, that have the internet browser embedded, and to be able to watch it on 60-some inch TV was pretty cool. So rather than staring at a little laptop screen in a dark corner somewhere, all of a sudden I was just able to just lay down on the couch and watch a race at 5 a.m. And there was actually a couple times that the boys would come out with their sleepy heads and sit down and watch a little bit with me, and probably fell asleep half the time. But that definitely helped to
you sent
bring
me a
them
picture
out
of this.
a little bit.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
it is a great TV, and you really feel like you could just like walk through it, and suddenly you're in Anholtz or wherever. It was pretty fantastic.
I do remember when we
what was
we started getting into it, and I remember seeing pictures of you with you were watching on TV, and you had a laptop next to you and an iPad in your hand and stuff. And I do remember trying that once or twice, and I was like, there's just no way, because I was so trying to do everything that I didn't really even feel like I was watching the race, and looking at Twitter responses and that kind of thing. And so I just gave up.
You don't actually want to be in my brain. It's a pretty scary place to be. The number of things that are happening at once.
Yeah.
So I can't really do that as much anymore now, with the kids being just at the current age that they're at. Hopefully I can get back to it, but because if Ben sees an iPad, like, he thinks it's his, and so he'll like just go over to it and just start. So whatever I had on it is just.
You mean it is his?
That is true. I do take it.
His, yeah. But a few more years, and he'll be doing the tweets for you.
Exactly. I don't have to do it anymore. He'll just take over. Well, I was going to say, one of the other things that changed the way I watch is actually getting the opportunity to talk to athletes and coaches who are involved, because it's like, you sort of like everybody who's in biathlon, but once we've had an opportunity to talk to these people, it's like, oh man, they're awesome. Like, I'm going to be cheering so hard for them now. Right. And it's just,
absolutely.
You can't help yourself. You see them out there and you're like, oh yeah, I was just sitting down and talking to them, a couple weeks ago, and now here they are out there racing. It's the coolest thing. So I just wanted to thank everybody who has given us, and really everybody has, like nobody has, it doesn't feel like, everybody has been really, really, really nice, right? Everybody has been very generous
Absolutely.
with their time, and nobody has made us feel like we were taking up too much of their time, even though I think some of these times we sit down, especially like I think about Claire Egan, and we sat down for like 3.5 hours, right?
Yeah. Well, I thought the funny part with that too was like at some point you feel like, okay, but well, we're just taking too much time, and then I think we started to round it off, and if I remember correctly, she was like, "Oh, we can keep going."
Is exactly what you said.
Yeah. So it's I found that when I was in Canmore too, like, you know, when Bo went down the list of national broadcasters, and then the lady from the media team was like, "Oh, there's local media as well," and he didn't even show anything of, "Oh, now I have to do that." He was just happy to come over and chat, and I don't know. I'm sure there's a couple maybe not so friendly biathletes, but I've yet to meet them because everybody's just super cool and
that's
friendly.
It's the best part. Everybody is super friendly, and then everybody is like, you know, even people, you know, we've had interviews where, you know, like Bibo, like we chatted on Twitter or Instagram, you know, for a while before we actually sat down, and we keep that dialogue open. But like Anna Gondler, the first time we sat down, like the only time that we'd ever talked to her was a couple of emails we exchanged to set up the time, and then she sits down and it's just like and she's just a super friendly, pleasant person. But it just felt like, oh yeah, you know, we're just going to sit here and chat for a while, and you know, and now I feel like, you know, you've talked to her in person a couple times, and so it's just been an amazing opportunity to just sit down and to meet all these people. And thank you to everybody. It's been incredible.
More relaxed because they don't have to take us so seriously.
Yeah, I know we're North Americans, right?
It's, you know, if somebody from the German TV wants an interview, then you have to think about what you're going to say and that kind of thing. But
also with us, like I feel like you can just like, I don't know, I mean, pat us on the back a little bit, but you can just sort of goof around, and we're not gonna like, we're not trying to catch you, right? We're not trying to make you make news. We're just trying to chat, you know, just trying to talk about biathlon and life, and hopefully make you laugh at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just enjoy it. You went through and made a list, right? Didn't you?
I did. And I guess we should shout out. Well, we're going to list all of them, but I guess a shout out to Scott Gow, who was our first guest. Yeah. Obviously, we started with some race debriefings, and then when the season was over, we kind of thought, okay, what are we going to do? And Scott was very, very generous, but and I know I'm already, as we always do, skipping back and forth a little bit, but I'm seeing a little trend of us interviewing Canadian athletes.
I know.
And then that coinciding with a change in their career.
Yep.
Well,
we didn't interview Christian Gow.
Scott, he was retired,
just retired, and then Jewel retired within a couple months, and we interviewed Emma Lunder. We didn't interview Christian, but you know, they are obviously intimately connected, and now Christian Gow has announced his retirement.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait to see what Emma's going to do, but I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned Jules. We had, and this is not in the correct order, but Andrea Henkel, which was exciting in a different way. It was an active athlete, but, you know, an athlete with multiple Olympic successes
how did that
and world
come together?
championships. I think her and I connected, or maybe you and her connected on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't remember how it all came together.
I don't know exactly.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Schul, and we had Armin Augenthaler from the U.S. biathlon team, but also the link to Italian/European biathlon. We had Lotte Lee from the Belgian team a number of times, and I chatted with her a couple times in Camor. Ukelek Slettemark, you mentioned Baiba Bendika,
who's gone on about 12 times.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we need to have her on again.
Hint.
I need to ask her about running with the baby.
Yeah, actually, Dolores did that too when we just had Lucas.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to ask her, because we have a baby jogger, and I want to see what brand that she has. Anyway, that's totally different conversation.
Vanessa Hintz, who also I actually don't know if she officially retired. I'm pretty sure she did. But
yeah, because they had she was there in Oslo with everybody last year.
Yeah, and she went to the IBU Cup then, right? Pretty close after we talked to her.
Yeah.
And then we had Egil Gjelland, the Norwegian coach from the Czech women's team.
Do you remember interviewing him? And we had so much trouble getting connected with. I don't remember what the software was we were using at the time, and he ended up calling us on his phone, and he was just like walking around his farm, and you could hear the cows in the background. It was such a charming interview. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and I remember that he was all of a sudden telling that he was together with Poiret.
Yeah,
he had that. Was it a hotel or?
Yeah, the hotel. Yeah. He invited us out there.
Johanna Taleharm, which I cannot disconnect from Honey
Power
in my brain. Honey Power. We had Nicholas Hartweg with some delay, because I think we were going to do it.
Yep. And then
right
Alex
at the end of the season, or just before the end. But so that was
speaking of people who were totally relaxed, and I think we could have just chatted with him for like all afternoon. Like, he was just totally happy to just chat about things, very open, and that's seriously an awesome interview.
Well, and when I talked to him in Camor, it was like as if I was seeing a friend I hadn't seen for a while.
I know, just
a very relaxing guy,
super chill
to chat
dude.
with.
The image that you used for the art for the episode with him at the surfboard, like, that's actually who he is. Like, I think that's just his personality. Just
with the Danish flag. Oops.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a white cross in a red flag, but talking about Danes. We've had a number of chats with Christian Wolf, which, being, I guess he's still an athlete because he does do competitions, but maybe not on a World Cup. But
what an awesome! So
he had so many insights on things around biathlon, right? And,
that's like my favorite part about talking to him is that was it prior to the season, talking about the wax. Right, and how it and it was just in all of the things that he was talking about, where it's like, and I used that throughout the rest of the season as I was watching it. So, if anybody out there speaks Danish, like, go find his stuff, because it's excellent.
Oh yeah. Tobias Torgerson, who I not only had the pleasure of interviewing together with you, but I did talk to him at the World Cup in Camor.
Can't believe we really. I feel so bad about that, because speaking of people who were really patient with us, and that was another day, because I got caught in this horrific traffic jam on the way home, and you guys ended up starting the interview, and I was listening because I had it in the car on mute so I could listen to you guys.
Right.
And, yeah. And then I jumped in when I got home. But I'm really looking forward to talking to him again. Especially coming up before the next season, because I'm really excited about that team.
Sure. Yeah, and then we had you briefly mentioned it earlier, Claire Egan, which turned I think into 3 episodes. With many topics obviously related to biathlon, but not directly.
There was that part 2, right, where we got into, it was like the 4 huge discussions that we had with her. Anyway, if you guys haven't listened to it, Claire Egan part 2, I mean, those are the topics that came up. They were not necessarily germane to the upcoming season. Like they were just sort of evergreen topics about doping and climate, and anyway, go listen to it. It was amazing. She joked at some point, she's like, this is like her therapy. I was like, yeah, I think it's our therapy too. Yeah, that was incredible. Yep.
And then we had Emma Lander, and
yes.
that really felt like we were not paying enough attention to the local, in quotes, athletes. So that was super cool to have her on, and I really truly hope that doesn't lead to another retirement. But
yeah, absolutely.
We'll
the other speaking of retired athletes, in the middle of that interview was Annie Biscon, who just like walked through the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was so funny.
She? Oh yeah, because she was visiting.
Yeah, she was just visiting them. Yeah. She just.
Then we had.
It's so funny.
We had Hannah Kebinger.
Yeah.
Also, not the greatest impact on her following season.
Look,
I hope I'm not scaring off any athletes here, but
no. I was going to say, anytime you mention bad things, remember both times we spoke with Anna Gondler, and shortly after that, she had the best races of her season. So
yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, so we got that. Speaking of, she and Amelia Ann look like they're having a great time right now out on. So I am tickled.
Sorry?
They're like our Amelia and Claude, right? Anna Gondler,
I was talking about. Sorry, did I say Anna Gondler? I was talking about Hannah Kebinger.
You were, yes, and then I brought up Anna Gondler because she has had great races after we spoke with her, and then I in classic us fashion got distracted. But anyway, looks like she's having a great time, and I feel like they're sort of like our they're like, right, because we've interviewed Anna a couple times and had such a great time with her, and then you gave Amelia Ann the ride in Canmore, so they're like our duo, and they got to stay together forever because
yeah, exactly. And then I, without ranking the other athletes lower, that's definitely not my intent or the other guests, but having known Matthias Arons prior to us starting our podcast, and the varying topics that we discussed with him, and I don't know, just
Matthias is great.
Probably because I knew him and had met him, I felt a bit of a different connection with him. But I don't know, I really, really enjoyed those. And if I am not mistaken, your dad was on one of them as well.
Yep. Yeah.
So that was pretty special. And I'm just trying to remember if I missed anybody else. But I think those are the guests that we had on.
I'm sure we've had so many people on.
Interviews
I'm sure
during
we forgot somebody, but
interviews that I did at IBU Cup and the World Cup. But
yeah,
which is truly like, because I think right from the get-go, I mean, we also just started, and it's not like we were gonna call up JT Bow and say, "Hey, you want to chat with us?" But I've always really enjoyed that we were talking to athletes that are not always in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And to talk about, what's life like, and I think we started with that a lot with Baiba. Like, what do you do on the days on a World Cup when there's no races? And she told us about her setting up a fitness center in the hotel lobby, and and Lotte Lee, what's it like to be not on a German or Norwegian team, but on a Belgian team, who obviously have a much lower budget than the big nations. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And Johanna Talaharm, when was it the first World Cup in is it Otepää? No.
Yeah.
Probably mixing up, but in Estonia,
No. Yeah.
first World Cup, and I don't know. I really enjoy that because that's within the biathlon world. That's what I'm exposed to a lot too. Is Canadian athletes who don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars budget and an almost $1 million wax truck and that kind of thing, and they're still competing on the same World Cup. So I just love getting those insights. So
yeah.
So thank you
to
all of you, to all these guests. It's been so much
spending
fun.
time with a couple of idiots from North America.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah, and then, of course,
you don't,
also
don't owe us a thing,
talk about,
right?
Hey,
they don't owe us a thing, right? And they're just also just happy and generous to do it. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and absolutely. And then in big air quotes, thank you to all the idiots from North America who actually take the time to listen to us.
To listen to us.
And Europeans, like anybody. Just it's so much fun chatting with you, Jordan, and thank you actually for reaching out and starting this all and putting all the time and effort in to make this happen.
Look, I honestly I couldn't imagine my Sunday nights during the season without it's sort of like it's my emotional release. I get to talk to RJ, I get to unload.
Yeah. No, it is, and it's a nice way to close off the weekend kind of.
It is.
So no, it's been a lot of fun, and you've been doing the major chunk of all the audio, putting it all together every time and getting it out on time.
That's perfect. Yeah, it works well.
It's working out well.
So
I did have I had a question for you.
Oh yeah.
So what do Andrea Henkel, Hannah Oberg, and Marie Doré Nabert have in common with our podcast?
Oh, I don't have no idea.
So Andrea Henkel has 100 top fives in her biathlon career.
Oh.
Hannah Oberg has 100 top 20s in her career. And Marie Dorin Habert from France has 100 top 10s in her career.
Look at that.
Those are the stats I could find related to 100.
Who has 100% shooting?
With a minimum of how many races?
Don't look that up.
But I think now that I mentioned that, I don't want to say I'm disappointed in it, but I was a bit surprised how a large number of our guests didn't really do much with analytics. Yeah. And then I'm thinking mostly of people in coaching and supporting roles, I guess, that way. But at the same time, there's a large field of opportunity.
There is. See, this is you're pioneering. You're doing
not just for me, but like in the field of biathlon, I think that's still relatively.
What we're doing is showing that there is an area where you can take advantage of it, right? Because not a lot of people are using it, so you can be the person to take advantage of it and do awesome.
Or they've all been hiding their secrets.
Or that's possible too.
Yeah, that is possible. So I've been off for 2 weeks with my two kids who were off from school, and I was just before the episode telling Jordan that I haven't really been able to check into the computer a lot during this time. Any news I've missed in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, well, we talked about Christian Gau announcing his retirement last night. That was a sad moment. The big news, of course, is Tarjei is going to continue. Announced it on your birthday, no less. that he is going to continue. So I think he knew. He was inspired by your chat in Canmore and said, RJ is such an awesome guy. He gave me that little chat, and I'm going to announce my return on his birthday.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. Tak Tarje. And maybe he was finally going through his bag of stuff from Canmore and saw that buff lying around, and he's like, "What the hell is that?"
It's RJ. So, and this is just me thinking, like, if he comes back for next year, he's got to come back for the Olympics, right? I'm being hopeful. Just don't rain on my parade. Be hopeful.
I'm sure he would like to. I think that would be his goal. But maybe he's also just looking at it year by year. But
yep. So I was inspired. This happened on was it last Thursday, and on Friday, I wrote kind of a personal piece, and I'll put it up on the blog shortly. But and I'll share it. But Tarje has a special place in my heart. So just want everybody to know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He's my guy. You got to read it though. You got to read it to find out why.
I just have an immediate flashback to you saying that about Lisa Hauser at some point.
No. This is different, right?
You just dumped her.
Just dumped her. Yeah. Move on to the next one. So it's funny. I actually look back. I look back at pictures of Tarje from when he was just starting into now, and I don't know what his hair secret is, but man, it looks better now than it did then. Like it's coming more full.
It's a bit late for me to find that out, but
I don't know.
I wish I would have known.
maybe it's a great secret. So yeah. But speaking of somebody who just looks like they're a fun-loving dude, Tarje. So always just happy to have him continuing with us for another season. And why not?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Number 2 in the overall. So can't do a whole lot better.
And not that far behind either.
No. Yeah. Yep. That's it. As far as news goes, that's about it. I've been following along with a lot of travels of athletes who are kind of taking their little spring break, and a lot of athletes posting their season roundups. And every time I see one, because they're all in German or Swedish or whatever, and so I have to hit the translate button on Instagram so I can read it. And as it's translating, because inevitably the first picture is, it and the way it looks, like, oh my gosh, is somebody else in their retirement? Like this is horrible. And then it's just talking about how it's like their season, and but yeah, I don't think there's not a lot's happened in the world of biathlon, which has been good. I think Salt Lake City is hosting the Olympics in like whatever it's going to be, 2034 or something like that, and they announced, of course, that Soldier Hollow would be the biathlon venue, which no surprise there. But that's
I had no idea.
That's like a decade from now, so I think we got plenty of time to get ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. By that point, I will have I'll have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old, so that's pretty exciting.
Good luck.
We'll be pretty close to episode 1,000 at that point.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably over.
Or you might actually live here.
Because we'll be recording in person. We'll get together. Yeah. Assuming we're not, blizzarded out, we'll come over and we'll do our Sunday night episodes. We'll have dinner.
That is actually.
We'll have dinner, and then we'll sit down and we'll record a podcast, and it'll be great.
That actually, I like that idea. No, I was just thinking how actually amazing it is that even when it's minus 40 outside, that the internet usually just works here.
It's pretty crazy. It shouldn't work.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anything you want to preview coming up in the next few weeks?
Well, I was curious. Have you seen any results of the nationals that were in the different countries? I know I've looked at the Canadian ones where let's see here. We have men's race sprint for the Canadian team was Logan Pletz, Adam Runnels, Christian Gau, Halden Borglum, and then Nicholas Burkhardt, Matt Strum.
Yeah.
Was the top 6. There was also a men's pursuit. Christian Gau winning, Adam Runnels second, Logan Pletz third, Halden Borglum fourth, and Matt Strum fifth. And I see Adam Runnels won the mass start ahead of Logan Pletz and Zach Connolly and Christian Gau and Halden Borglum. And there was a men-women mixed relay to close it off, and Christian Gau and Emma Lunder won in front of Shiloh Rousseau and Zach Connolly and Janice Grundahl and Logan Pletz. So just wanted to mention that. And I'm going to scroll down for the women. Nadia Moser, Benita Pfeiffer, Shiloh Rousseau, Emma Lunder, Janice Grundahl are the top athletes for the sprint. For the pursuit, it was Emma Lunder winning, Nadia Moser second, Benita Pfeiffer third. For the mass start, it was Emma Lunder, Nadia Moser second, Shiloh Rousseau third, Benita Pfeiffer, Janice Grundahl. And the afternoon mass start, sorry, that was just for the younger ages. So, I don't know if it's going to be her last race for Emma. We know that Christian had his last race, so they at least went out with some good results on the National Canadian Championships.
Yeah, congratulations for them.
But did you, because I know, I think Germany doesn't have the nationals, right? They don't do that right after the season?
Austria did not either because the conditions weren't good. I know that Norway did, and I did not see, I saw the results, but I didn't process them. So they kind of went in one side and out the other. I wasn't paying too much attention, to be honest.
Okay.
I was just scrolling back through to see, and I couldn't find them. And I always find the national championships interesting because it all depends on how much people really care, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think for a smaller nation, it probably matters more, but I'm not sure how much like J2 Bo actually cares about the Norwegian national championships at this stage in his career.
Yeah. Well, and it kind of feels like a race where it's almost more like a thank you to the fans.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And you just like see them one more time.
Yeah.
And
yep.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more closely related to the summer biathlon. Which, by the way, I found myself, like, I woke up this morning and I was really excited for blank, and I have no idea why. That's in August, by the way, so I've got 4 months to wait. But I just was really excited about it, and just the idea of, you know, watching. Because that's, so, I think part of it was because that's when I was, like, I was watching Lou Jean Monod really closely then, and I was like, who's going to be the Lou Jean Monod of this year's Blink or this year's Summer Biathlon? Then I'm like, ooh, that looks interesting.
Maybe Lou Jean Monod?
That could very well be Lou Jean Monod, right? Yeah. Speaking of, and we've teased this a couple times, but we wanted to give all the athletes kind of a break, and not hound them immediately after the season and be like, hey, when are you coming on our podcast? So, you know, wanted to give them a little bit of time, but we've talked with Lou Jean Monod a couple times, and now we just need to secure a time, but she will be on the Penalty Loop podcast at some point this summer. And that's very exciting. So I just look forward to that.
I think I mentioned that to you before, but when I had a quick chat with her on the parking lot when she was running to the bus.
Yeah.
No, she did, because she was running in front of a car while on her phone.
Yeah.
But when I said, from the Penalty Loop podcast, and are you still good to do an interview? Oh, are you Jordan? So she even remembered your name.
Well, who wouldn't
reach out to her originally?
Pretty cool dude. Well,
Yeah,
All right.
that'd be pretty cool. That was all I had.
That's it.
Happy 100.
100 episodes. So, so we should hit episode 200 in sometime after I was going to say sometime after the Olympics in 2026.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is going to feel really full circle for me, actually, when we hit that.
What do you mean full circle?
Well, just the end of one loop and the start
first circle.
Yeah, exactly. And the start of the second loop, just because that's how we got the whole thing started.
Yeah, no, so. that definitely be fun.
All right. Everybody,
thanks,
go have
everyone.
a wonderful week. Listen to the men's recap. Listen to the women's recap, which is coming shortly, and we'll and go check out the piece I wrote on Tarja Book, just because it was kind of special, and you'll learn a little bit about me. So that's it.
I'm looking forward to it, and I think I mentioned
it all already.
I was working on some pieces for Emily and Jacqueline's shooting and the impact of the wax.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I haven't had really the time to work on it, but it's
2 weeks
hopefully
off.
something we can discuss in the near future.
Okay.
All right.
Man.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, and we'll chat soon.
Have a great day. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.